dividing fractions is the next easiest thing, because really every division problem when you're dealing with fractions it's really just another multiplication problem. You just have one step you have to remember. So anytime you see this division sign, one step, and then you change that to a multiplication sign and you just multiply across the top or multiply across the bottom. So some of you may have learned this in middle school, the keep, change, flip. And that just means you keep the first fraction, leave it alone, you change the sign to multiplication, and then you flip the last fraction. All right, so every division problem with fractions is really just another multiplication problem. So it's super easy as long as you remember to flip that second fraction. So this can be rewritten as 1 over 2. So we're keeping this. We're changing that division sign to multiplication. And then this 1 over 4, we're flipping it, and we're going to turn it into 4 over 1. And then we just multiply across the top, and then multiply across the bottom, 4 over 2. And how can we reduce this? So how many times does 2 go into 4? It goes into it 2 whole times. So 4 divided by 2 just equals the whole number 2. On our second problem, we are introducing our negatives. So we want to make sure we're still remembering those as well. So we're going to do that keep, change, flip. Keep the first, which is going to be a negative 3/4. Change the sign to multiplication and flip the second one. So now we have a negative 3/4 times a 3/2. So we're just going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. But because we have this negative sign right here, we need to remember our rules of integers. A negative times a positive is going to equal a negative. Okay? So now we have 3 times 3, which equals 9. 4 times 2, which equals 8. And then this is fine. So remember, in algebra, we like improper fractions, so fight the urge to turn this into a mixed number. If you want to turn it into a mixed number, I'm not going to count off, but in the back of the book, unless it actually tells you to put the answer as a mixed number, the answers will probably be in improper fractions, because again, the whole purpose of this course is to build you up to algebra and getting you used to how you're going to be seeing things in algebra. So when we start Math 2, we're going to be dealing with lots of improper fractions. So this answer is A-okay for this class. You don't need to turn it into a mixed number. I know a lot of us were taught that way when we were in grade school. We want to kind of get away from that when we're in algebra. So again, dividing fractions, very simple. It's the same thing as multiplying fractions. We just have to remember to flip that second one. Now, some of you may have learned cross multiplication. Cross multiplication is the same thing as your keep, change, flip, except instead of, you're still going to multiply when you see that division sign, except you're going to do 1 times 4 and then bring that up, which we have that 4, and then 2 times 1 and then bring that down. So you're just cross multiplying. And then you could do the same thing here. 4 times 2, and then 3 times 3, and bring it up. So whichever way you learned, for me personally, I think flipping the second one, that's just how my brain automatically does it. But some of you like to do the cross multiplication. The only thing that I encourage you to just be aware of is that a lot of students, when they cross multiply, they'll do 4 times 2, and then write the answer on top. But remember, you're changing directions both times. So you do 4 times 2 and then come back down. So you just want to make sure you're crossing both times to get that answer if you're using cross multiplication. All right, so again, just a quick review. Dividing fractions is really multiplying, either cross multiply or do the keep, change, flip. Just take the reciprocal or flip that second fraction and multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and make sure you can reduce to see if you can reduce at the end. If you can, make sure you reduce it. If not, you can leave it as an improper fraction.